I was under the influence of marriage to my starter husband when I had my first set of exotic, furry, four-legged felines. I was ready to find kitties through a rescue organization, but starter husband insisted that they be full breed pets, not some mangy cats from a rescue. His words, not mine. I relented and went on the search for full breed kittens. Zambo was a black Persian with white whiskers that curled into his face. And Zipper, a ruddy Somali, he had the markings of a red fox. Zambo, the consummate lap cat. And Zipper, he'd give me hugs while he tilted his head into my neck when I held him. Now, while starter husband and I got along in our courtship, once we were married, we were in conflict much of the time, and the relationship became effortful work. Needless to say, the relationship with Zip and Zam lasted longer than with starter husband. Upon our divorce, I happily acquired custody of the furballs. Now, a few years later, I met who would become my finisher husband, Jerry. Our courtship slowly and comfortably grew, and it's proven to be much more effortless than with starter husband. I now know that a marriage doesn't need to be all work. Now, regarding pets, Jerry let me know under no uncertain terms that he was not a cat person, only a dog person. Well, that theory didn't last long, and Zip and Zam worked their way into his heart with quality lap time and hugs. And when I would call Jerry while I was on the road traveling, he'd answer the phone, COL, cat on lap. Gave me great comfort to know that he was in good company. But as nature would have it, we humans outlive our companions. Zambo was 12 and a half when he died, and Zipper 5 years later was 17 and a half years old. The day we lost Zipper, I threw away anything that was cat, as the sadness was too great. With no furry four-legged furballs in our home, Jerry admitted to me that he had loved the cats, which wasn't a surprise to me, but it seemed important to him to confess this. He said he couldn't deal with the heartache of becoming attached to more beloved pets, only to eventually say goodbye to them. I didn't try to change his mind. I just nodded. It took about 4 months for the grief from the loss of Zipper to lift, and another 4 months when I started to feel the yearning for another set of cats. You might be wondering if Jerry was on board. He was. He just didn't know it yet. On New Year's Day, through a rescue organization, I found a 9-month-old brother and sister. Mickey had short white fur and bright green eyes, smudgy, long white fur, blue eyes, a slight dark smudge on the top of her head, and a tail that just seemed to waft when she would walk. They always greeted us when we came home. They loved to play fetch and observe us humans from the highest perch of the cat trees. No matter how bad a day we had, feeling the love and devotion from these two was truly heartwarming. 5 years after the adoption, Doodle's and Smudgy's health rapidly deteriorated. Bringing them back to health was like trying to grip water. A blood test revealed that both cats had FIV, feline immunodeficiency syndrome, like HIV in humans, but only for cats. In the fall of 2019, we said goodbye to our precious white kitties, sending them over Rainbow Bridge, and they were only 6.5 years old. Once again, I threw away anything that was cat. The grief set in, and Jerry informed me that never again. I nodded and didn't try to change his mind. 4 months later, the pandemic set in, and Jerry started to work from home. All my work in the meetings industry dried up. I began to yearn for a pet again, but only to foster, as our hearts were still broken from the loss of Smudgies and Doodles, of course. I reached out to my contact in the cat community to see if she knew of any foster opportunities. She connected me with a couple that already had 6 cats, and they were caring for 2 more that came from the home of a relative that had died. While one of the cats adapted to that new surrounding, the other did not, because she was no longer the alpha female of the household. Belle was a beautiful, healthy 6-year-old long-haired Tory, and quite the diva that needed to be in her own home. Jerry and I agreed to go meet Belle to see if it might be a good fit to foster her until she could be rehomed. With masks on, we sat in one of the many rooms of the spacious home where the other cats wandered in and out. Belle let us pet her while her fluffy tail just never stopped wagging, much like a dog. After 2 days of contemplation, though, we decided that fostering her would not be a good fit as we were still grieving. When I shared this with my contact, she lovingly insisted that we indeed were a good fit for Belle and her for us, and even suggested that we be her forever home. She empathetically persisted that the timing was just right and that Belle was grieving her loss too. We could help heal each other's hearts. And when I heard it this way, hot tears streamed down my face and my heart cracked wide open. I felt a mixture of hope and love and a release of sadness that I've been carrying with me for months. With tear-streamed face and a quiver in my voice, I shared my conversation with Jerry. I now knew, with conviction in my heart, that we were to become Belle's forever home. As an animal-loving friend of mine said, we are blessed with the opportunity to be stewards of these precious souls as long as they can be with us. I couldn't agree more. It's been almost a year now, and Jerry, Belle, and I are a symbiotic family of 3. She shares her love with us by getting us out of our heads and demands to be petted and played with, all the while purring. Our hearts continue to heal, and Belle, of course, is the diva of the household, with a tail that just keeps on wagging.